Welcome to another live Facebook edition. And tonight, I am so happy to be joined by my very good friend, Bella Davidov. It's been a while since Bella joined me on a Facebook Live. So I am super excited to have Bella join me once again. And today, we are going to be answering your questions. We don't know who asked these questions. I love to put the anonymous question box on my Facebook and Instagram stories because it gives you, the viewers, the followers, the ability to post a question without feeling like you're being judged, like you're exposing too much of yourself because those questions make you feel uncomfortable. I have no idea who you are, and this is a safe space for you to ask your questions. Whichever questions I was able to address, I already answered, and you can see it on my stories. The questions we're going to be addressing today are questions I was not yet able to address because of how long the answers can be. It's too much to type. So we're going to address it now with Bella. I see Bella joined us. Let me invite Bella onto the show so we can begin. Accept, add. Really praying that no technical difficulties tonight, that Facebook is going to behave itself, and we can have a great show. Bella, with the magic of Facebook Live, I see you on camera, my friend. How are you?
Good. Как твои дела?
I am good. So happy once again to do the show with you. Let's hope you don't have another blackout today, Bella.
God, не дай бог.
The last time we did a show, your camera went black. So
Я
I'm hoping
помню.
today there are no surprises.
That was something. Это был такой сюрприз для всех, не только для меня.
Это было очень интересно. Even though I felt so bad, it was just so funny.
But we did it anyway. It
We
was
did
great.
it. You and your candles.
Да.
You did it.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Anyway, I'm so glad to see you.
Likewise. So today, Bella got an unexpected call from me. And I said, Bella, I have questions. And who better to help me answer those questions if not for you? Bella, I need your help. Are you willing to go live with me today so we can address these questions? And she's like, I don't know. What are the questions? So I randomly just sent her some of the questions. Some she was able to look at, some she was not. So the questions kept coming. So I was able to compile them all. We're going to address as many questions as we can tonight. Maybe some of you are going to decide to put other questions during the live. We don't know which way it's going to go. If we can address all the questions tonight together, we will. If we don't be, that's okay. We're going to have more of these episodes. This is actually, Bella and I did this episode. I looked back in July. We did something similar. And then I did another one recently myself. So I do these types of episodes once in a while. I really enjoy them. It gives us the ability to share our thoughts. Remember, these are our thoughts. They are not concrete. They're not suggestions or advice on how you need to live your life. These are our mindsets, our opinions, our thought processes. If something resonates with you, you agree, you like it, take the advice. If you think it's totally off the wall, totally not what you go with, that's fine. We are all entitled to our thought processes and our ideas. All right, Bella, are you ready?
I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. We haven't seen you on Facebook for a while, Bella. Where have you been?
Busy with the family work, you know how that goes. But I'm very active on my Instagram, though.
Instagram. Okay, so if you are not following Bella on Instagram, go to Instagram and follow Bella there. She has amazing short little video clips with recipes. Always, always enjoy watching you, Bella.
Thank you.
So, by the way, before we begin, since I always do a test run, if you can hear us and see us, please comment below right now. Put a check mark, a thumbs up sign, a heart. Thank you, Lydia, right there. I was able to see the comment. I just want to make sure that there are no issues, that you're all able to hear us and see us properly. So just that we see this comment coming in, that already lets us know that we are able to read your comments during the show, because sometimes we can't. So we have to always do a test run. All right. So which question are we going to go with first? All right. I like this one better. Okay, Bella, you ready? Bella doesn't know which ones I'm picking tonight.
У меня даже руки затряслись.
Не надо, не переживай. We're going to be fine. Okay. Okay. How do you keep your relationship healthy? I have no more chemistry with my husband. Is it normal? Переведи, пожалуйста, вопрос, Bella, just because I feel like there are some people who are going to be Russian speaking. Just translate the question. How do you keep your relationship healthy? I have no more chemistry with my husband. Is it normal?
Как вы... Сейчас, минуточку, я очень сильно извиняюсь. Basically, она спрашивает, что у нее нету connection. Connection — это приближение такого же relationship, как это будет по-русски, близости нет с ее мужем. И она спрашивает, нормально ли это в жизни, такое вот чувство иметь.
Ага. Значит, она не чувствует так, как она чувствовала, вот, когда она только вышла замуж за своего мужа, такая любовь, такие искры, у нее это исчезло. И она говорит, что мне делать, чтобы это нормально, во-первых, и она хочет посоветоваться, как дальше идти. So, Bella, you're going to take it first, and I want to hear your thought process on this particular question. Are you ready?
So basically, how do you keep your your relationship healthy? Она спрашивает, right? I believe it's totally normal. We all go through this. We all go through different stages in life. Это totally normal. Either it's men or women, кто бы ни был, you know, мы все имеем feelings up and down, настроение up and down. It's totally normal. Скорее всего, что-то случилось у них в семье. Это может быть разные ситуации. Может быть постельная жизнь, может быть жизнь с детьми какая-то вот сложилась, что у них что-то не получается. Может быть у них что-то не складывается between mother-in-law and father-in-law. Мы не знаем, какая ситуация у них, что они не чувствуют этой близости больше между мужем и женой, этот chemistry. Я бы посоветовала в такой ситуации как бы поменять немножко свою жизнь, and I'm speaking for women, like от женщин я могу сказать, как я чувствую себя от женщин. Поменять немножко себя и свою ситуацию. Как мы можем это сделать? Take care of yourself, you know. Go for a walk. Communication. Communication is the number one key in your relationship between husband and wife. Очень главное не то, что мы сказали, а вот именно как мы сказали, понимаешь? Может быть, действительно какой-то сильный конфликт, который мучает женщину, и муж этого не понимает, потому что женщина, когда она не в настроении, ей в реальной жизни нужен вот этот space. Многим женщинам. Может быть, многим женщинам этот space не нужен. И постепенно вот этот chemistry, он уходит, когда мужчина начинает давить ее, когда мужчина начинает контролировать ее, когда он не дает ей ходу ни в чем, понимаешь? Когда нет у нее вот этой свободы, когда у нее нет вот этого вот правильного communication between husband and wife. Это очень важно, когда мы можем общаться со своим мужем, и муж с женой, и жена со своим мужем в правильной форме, не в приказной форме, не в приказном тоне, понимаешь? Это очень важно. В каком бы состоянии мы не были, потому что это отражается не только на нас, это отражается на наших детях. Дети страдают в первую очередь, потому что дети не видят вот этот вот connection between father and a mother. Поэтому нам нужно, наверное, скорее всего, меняться, как бы мужьям как бы меняться в мужскую сторону, а женщинам меняться в свою женскую сторону. Я могу только сказать с женской стороны, женщины могут take care of yourself, you know, go to the spa, go to get your nails done, возьмите массаж себе, physically, emotionally, don't drain yourself. Если у вас посуда не вымыта, оставьте ее, that's fine. Вы завтра утром встанете, вы ее помоете. Если вы думаете, что это как бы разозлит вашего мужа, что у вас посуда не вымытая, it's okay, обращайтесь к этому спокойно, потому что просто ему скажите, I don't feel good, и сегодня посуда будет не вымыта, too bad, I'm gonna go to bed because I want to make sure I feel good tomorrow morning, and when I feel good tomorrow morning, завтра посуда будет вымыта. А если это тебе посуда мешает, дорогой, ты можешь поставить ее в посудомойку? I would really appreciate it. That would be the biggest help for me. It's not what you said, it's how you said. Понимаете? Не обязательно это делать в приказном тоне. Потом spend quality time with your spouses. Понимаете? Это очень важно, to spend quality time with your husband. И самое главное все-таки the communication. Communicate openly with your spouse. Это очень важно.
I love how you answered it. I love it. I don't really have too much more to add, but since I have to go next, and you said so much already, I will read the question one more time. How do you keep the relationship healthy? I have no more chemistry with my husband. Is it normal? It's very normal. Okay. Also, it depends on how many years you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking, if you have no more chemistry with your husband and you're 2 months married, we do have a little bit of a problem here.
Yeah.
Because you're way too newlywed. I'm not sure what could be the issue there. But if you're married for about 15, 20 years, that is normal. Now, my thought process is as follows. Why do we lose our chemistry? Like Bella said, many factors. It can be hormonal, especially when women get older and hormones are kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
Menopause is kicking in, okay? You don't have to reach menopause, but let's say, for example, that age group, hormones play a very big role. Our libido, our desires, they are going down. They're not the same as they were. So that's from one perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not menopausal, you're 35, you're young, why would your chemistry go down? Many factors, okay? Birth control, medications. So there are other medical factors to take into consideration. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Are you on medications? Can that be playing a role? If we're not talking about medications playing a role, why do I think personally our relationship becomes distant and we lose chemistry?
Mm-hmm.
Because we are not interacting with each other. You know who we're interacting with? Our phones. When we're interacting so much with our phones and we come home and the husband and wife are not talking to each other. We've seen this many times. We're sitting on a dinner table and everyone is eating dinner and everyone is sitting together. But what's really happening? Everyone is in their own world, in their own space. Everyone is on their phones talking to other people. We go to restaurants. As much as you see couples together, they're not together. They're still in another space on their phone. So when you're not paying attention to each other, and let's say you're not on your phone, you're home, but you're not really home.
Yeah.
You're totally in a different zone. You're thinking about work. She's thinking about how she's going to host Shabbat dinner, and there's no communication, like Bella said. You're really on different platforms, zones altogether. If it happens 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, things happen. We all need a break from each other once in a while. That's normal. But when this cycle continues for weeks and weeks and weeks, you almost become roommates. You're not becoming husband and wife. You're roommates. You're just sharing one room together, but you have no interests that are in common. If that starts to happen, you are going to start losing each other. With that emotional bond is going to go away. Now, is that normal? To some degree, it's normal because there are moments where a lot of people feel that way. The question is, how do you bounce back? How do you get back to each other? What do you do? So when you notice that there's a distance and a disconnect, it's important that you realize it, because if you don't, eventually it's going to take over and it's going to be very hard. Another reason that might happen, and again, these are my thought processes. If you're younger and you're so preoccupied with your children, with your babies, and all you're doing is taking care of your babies, it's all about your baby. What happens? Your husband is now on the back burner. Once upon a time, he was the man. He was everything for you. Now there's a baby involved, and as much as we have to cater to our children and be there for them, we can't forget our first relationship. Our first relationship was with who? With our spouse. We love our children. We have to be there with our children, but we have to also understand our husband, close your ears, man, but they are our biggest children. They need us to be there for them. And if we don't, my husband giving me the look.
Yeah, we're gonna have our husbands looking at
He's
us
like,
more
what is she
often today.
saying? I'm no child. And if we don't, it's going to eventually catch up with us.
Yeah.
We have to give them the same love, the same nurture, the same attention as we give to our children. Because if we don't, it's going to start getting distant. You know, Bella, it's an interesting question. I randomly just chose it. And yesterday I was sitting and I was looking over a notebook. I found a notebook randomly. I was just going through my bookshelf and I found this very heavy notebook. I opened it up and I see in that notebook a lot of papers and cards and letters that were like glued. I probably made this when I was 16, 17, 18, very young.
Wow.
And I started going through it and I was like, oh my God, these are letters. Like I even kept in there were letters and gift cards that me and my husband wrote to each other back in the days. Even a small little gift, like, you know, when you give a flower to someone and you put like a little note, even that little note that was like on the flower, it said, I'm so happy you passed your driving test. Congratulations, Mazal Tov. Even that little note that I got with my flowers the day I passed my driving exam for my husband, I kept it and I glued it onto this notebook. There were so many sentimental moments there in our life, even like all kinds of letters where we didn't think we were going to be together and I wrote it to him apologizing. All kinds of letters were there and I was sitting there and reading it. And then I told my kids, look at the difference in the generations we're in. Our generation, we communicated through letters, through gift cards, through cards. We actually went out to the store and we bought a card. And what was the process? You go to Rite Aid, you stand in the middle aisle, and you're looking for an anniversary card or you're looking for a birthday card, and you're actually getting to choose which card am I going to pick, which one resonates with me, and then you have to write on the card. So the whole process of communication was so different. And there are memories. We can actually keep it, the letters, the gift cards, the cards. Now everything is through a phone. You write a letter, you write a text. It's all on the phone. It gets deleted and you can never go back and trace it. So my advice is, and after I saw this yesterday, I thought to myself, I should buy myself stationery and go back to the moments of writing letters, just surprising him. Or even my children, because all these cards and letters that we're going to write, they can be something we can keep. And those moments where we feel like we're disconnected, we don't really have chemistry, I don't really even understand the person I married, did we even like, you know, was there love there? And then you go back to this notebook that you have and you read the letters and the cards and all those special moments, it gets you that spark back and you realize, yeah, once upon a time, we were really in love, and let me be inspired to get that back once again.
I really like that. You're basically saying connect without distraction. It's beautiful.
Right. Yes.
It's beautiful.
So I think we kind of addressed this question. I think we did well. Let's move on. You agree? We can move on.
I agree with you. It makes sense, понимаешь? And я не могу большего сказать, потому что I think we covered it really well.
I think so too. And by the way, if anyone watching wants to add anything else, please feel free. Please feel free to write your comments, and we'll get to your comments as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Next one, because there are a few here. Okay, I want to hear your answer on this one. Does money change a man? The more they make, the more ego they have and do immoral things.
Money doesn't change the person. Это смотря как он вырос, в какой семье он вырос и как он вырос. Я знаю очень много семей, где богатые семьи, и они такие же добрые, такие же нормальные люди, где деньги их абсолютно не меняют. Если человек вырос эгоистом, и если он делает еще больше денег, чем он делал, то он просто усиливает свой эгоизм, понимаешь, этим самым, потому что он рос эгоистом. И когда он видит больше денег, он усиливает этот эгоизм, он усиливает вот эти вот нехорошие свои качества. А если человек вырос с хорошими качествами, то деньги никогда его не будут портить.
Wow. You answered it very, very well. I have a little bit of a different answer on this one. You did it really, really well. I wasn't even thinking in your terms. That's beautiful. Does money change a man? The more they make, the more of an ego they have to do immoral things. So there's two parts to this question. I did answer this question on my stories briefly, but I wanted your version of it, and I like how you answered it. I was curious to see your answer. I personally think money can change a woman or a man. Money is, okay, so there can be people, like Bella said, if you have ego in you, that means it was always there and it just kind of, activated itself because you became rich.
Усиливает эти качества, когда он видит эти деньги.
But I also feel that there are people that may have been humble, but they became so rich that they lose the humbleness in them because they basically, not everybody who has money knows how to behave with money. The reason is because these people, they don't work on themselves to know that the money that they have today can be gone tomorrow. That money is not what life revolves around. And unfortunately, there are people that become so rich. And again, Bella's right. Many people are rich and they're not like this, but then there are people that become rich and unfortunately they forget their relatives, their loved ones, their parents. So unless you are continuously working on your character traits and continuously not idolizing, when we start to idolize anything, whether it becomes money, our career, our business, unless you are not with this mindset of money makes me, and if I have money, then I'm this most superior person in the world. If you have that mindset, you're going to get lost when a lot of money come your way. Because your mindset about money and power, okay, if money equals power to you, you're going to use money the wrong way. But if you connect to money as an ability to live a better life, not just for yourself, but for the people around you, for your family, for your communities, for charity. If you understand the power that money has, but you also understand that you're not going to be ruled by this money, you're going to utilize it properly, only then, in my opinion, you're going to remain to be a humble person. But if you don't get that concept, because I have seen, unfortunately, in my life, I have seen people that become so rich, they start to have a different friend circle, right? Their friend circle changes. It's almost like if you're a certain category, then your friends have to be a certain category, and the kind of people you celebrate with and the kind of people you invite to your occasions. It almost becomes like this different level. And it
That's
hurts.
what I'm saying. Видимо, когда он жил в той жизни, когда он не был богатым, когда у него не было денег, он был просто простым эгоистом. И когда он получает эти деньги, это усиливает его эгоизм. Понимаешь?
So that probably is the way to look at it.
Да.
So would I say, can money change a person? I would not say, can money change a man? I think money can change a man or a
Or a
woman.
woman.
And
Да.
can they do immoral things with money? Obviously they can, because they can afford it. But I don't agree that just because someone has more money, they're going to do immoral things. Someone who's looking to do something inappropriate or immoral, if you're looking to do it, whether you have money or not, if that's what's on your mind,
Да.
you're going to go borrow money and still do the immoral things.
Да.
So that part I don't agree with. Ego, misbehaving your thought process, distancing yourself from your loved ones because you become rich, I think that can happen. But as far as doing inappropriate, immoral behaviors, yes, it does give you more of a chance if you're rich. That doesn't mean, though, that if you're rich, you're going to do it. If you're looking to do that, you're going to find your way whether you have money or not.
Да.
That's my way of answering it.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I agree on that too. Makes sense. Я тебе скажу, деньги — это такая грязная вещь, можно про деньги говорить и говорить, это нон-стоп, эта тема может годами длиться, и у всех разные мнения на
Right.
это. Кто-то
It's a
скажет,
sensitive topic.
да, кто-то скажет, да, Белла, ты не права, я потому что никогда не был эгоистом. А кто-то скажет, ой, да, Белла 100% права. Но мы все равно остаемся при своем мнении.
Right. Absolutely. This
Да.
next question is going to be very interesting. Bella, вот слушай, этот вопрос мне очень интересный был. Why is it, okay, that a Kilin, a daughter-in-law, is obligated to do all, but the daughter herself isn't? So there's two parts to this question. This one person is writing two questions. We're going to address the first part of the question first. Let me repeat. She's
Okay.
asking, why is the Kilin, the daughter-in-law, obligated to do everything for the mother-in-law, I'm assuming, or for the in-laws, but the daughter herself, their daughter, is not? So that's the first part.
Should we go with the first part first?
Yeah. So,
Ты меня спрашиваешь
да.
это. Новую свекровку.
Я не знаю, потому что я вообще не могу это ответить. So I'm posing it to you.
Ну, во-первых, мы не знаем, какие у нее отношения со своей свекровью. Понимаешь? Мы не знаем, если у нее токсик отношения с нею, или они friends, или она просто это говорит, потому что в ней заиграл эгоизм. Мы не знаем, почему она это говорит. И мы не знаем, сколько ее родная дочь, ее mother-in-law, делает для них. Понимаешь? Мы не знаем это. Поэтому, если мы узнаем, какой relationship у нее с mother-in-law, ну, по вопросу, которому она задает, it doesn't look like she has a good relationship with her mother-in-law, понимаешь? Это очень важно, когда Кейлин имеет хороший relationship with her mother-in-law. Это значит, она не только уваживает семью своего мужа, но в то же время и свекровь должна иметь свое место, где она должна также уважать свою Кейлин. А Кейлин, она не должна, что она должна делать для своей свекрови? У нее своя жизнь, у нее своя семья. Если она, Кейлин, вас не просит никакой помощи, свекровка должна сидеть на своем месте и заниматься своим делом. Я так считаю. Если it bothers her, почему ее дочка не делает больше того, что я делаю, то уже это немножко messed up какой-то вот mentality. Я этого не понимаю, у меня не было никогда такого relationship ни с кем, поэтому я не понимаю, почему это делает больше, а почему и вот я как невеста делаю больше, а вот ее дочка делает меньше. Во-первых, мы не должны семьи разделять. И мы не должны смотреть на это так, как вот она сейчас смотрит на это, потому что это very unhealthy relationship. И так судить, что почему вот ее дочка не делает, как я делаю, я думаю, что это неправильно. Потому что мы не знаем, что ее дочка для нее делает. И потом это очень важно посмотреть, сколько лет они живут в этой семье. Мы не знаем, сколько лет она живет. Может быть, она новая невестка в этой семье, а может быть, она 40 лет. Я надеюсь, что она, если 30-40 лет живет как доктор, но я думаю, что у нее уже таких вопросов не будет. Очень, like I said, это очень важно, как бы вот изначально, ну, как бы вот складывать вот эти вот good relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, чтобы не было вот таких вопросов потом.
I agree. Это немножко тяжело ответить на
Это
этот вопрос.
тяжело ответить, потому что мы не знаем, какой у них relationship, понимаешь?
The fact that she's asking this question, it sounds like a daughter-in-law that's under a lot of pressure,
Ага.
or that she's somebody that's asking this just from reading it to me sound that she's not happy.
Мгм.
She's not happy, and she's feeling that she's being she's feeling in a way, just reading this, that she's feeling pressured and used in a way. So my thought process altogether with this question, why is it that the daughter-in-law is obligated to do all but the daughter herself isn't? What does that mean? Why is it that she's obligated? Who told you you're obligated?
Да,
Who told you you have
да,
to do anything? Who forced you to do anything? That's where I think I'm a little bit confused. You see, I come from a mentality of being very respectful,
да,
loving,
да,
caring. So respect is what? Respect doesn't mean drop dead and roll.
да,
That's not respect. You don't show to me. Maybe to somebody else, yes. Just because you say you can't, if somebody calls you and says, are you able to make me 5 salads for an event, for example, right?
да,
And
да,
you can't, you're extremely busy, you genuinely can't, and you compromise and say, I can make 2. That doesn't make you a bad person. Now,
ну,
let's say you can't say that. You can't say, I can take 2, and you say, okay, I'll do 5. And then you find out her daughter, your mother-in-law's daughter, your sister-in-law, came with 1 salad. And you may feel to yourself, well, why did I have to do 5 and she only did 1?
И
Maybe
вот,
because she said to her mother, I can't. I'm
и
not
вот
able to.
да, и вот в таких случаях, вот я что и хочу сказать, люди сами себе накручивают истории в своих мозгах, потому что, может быть, mother-in-law или daughter-in-law даже об этом и не думают, понимаешь? И сама вот эта ситуация, она накаляет ситуацию еще больше. Ты понимаешь, что я говорю? Она
Да,
накаляет
so
ее. Потому что вот начинают накручивать. Ага, значит, вот если ее дочка 1 салат принесла, почему я должна 2 сделать? Ну а почему нет? Если ты могла 2 салата сделать, и ты согласилась это сделать, и ты увидела, что другая сторона сделала 1 салат, ну никто не умрет, если мы 10 салатов не покушаем. Пусть будут 3 салата на столе, ничего тут страшного нету. То есть it takes 2 people to work together, понимаешь? Кто-то один должен быть умнее, и все.
and
And just take it
also
easy.
bothers me. Sometimes people are not able to say no,
М,
right? They don't say
Да,
no. When you ask
да,
them for something, they don't say no. They feel uncomfortable. But meanwhile, what are they doing? They're building in their heart tension, tension, tension.
да,
They're angry, they're
да,
upset,
да.
they're unhappy. And you see them and they come to your house and they look miserable and upset. And you're wondering, what did I do? Why is she so upset
И
at me?
вот это
Because yeah,
и делает проблему
you
больше.
you agree to something that you cannot do, and then
Мгм.
you're really miserable and unhappy and you feel like you're used. But sometimes we have to learn a skill.
Да,
No is also an answer if you say it with love and you explain
yes.
why. You're not saying no if you genuinely say no because you feel like, I don't want to do it. I mean, that's your problem. You could say no whenever you want to say no, but eventually, people are not going to like that too much. But if you're genuinely saying no because you're busy, and people know when we're busy, people know when we're working and we have little babies. And if they don't know and they don't understand, remember the book that I told you the other day?
Да,
Let them not understand. Let them judge you. Let them feel a certain way. If you genuinely can't and you say it and people will still say, она ничего не хочет делать, лентяйка, that's on them. Let them. But if you're going to do things and then you're going to be miserable and you're going to start hating each other, you're
да,
not doing anyone a favor. And now for the mother-in-laws who are
да,
listening, right? The mother.
да, да.
Если наша Келейка говорит, она не может.
Значит, она не может. В чем проблема?
Exactly. Don't get upset and offended and then start to, она своей маме всегда делает. How do you know this? How do
Да.
you know this? How do you know what she does for her mother? Or how do you know that she
That's what I'm
doesn't go to her mother and
saying.
she sits the whole time? Or how do you know this? So if your daughter-in-law does tell you she can't, we have to start understanding and loving people just the way they are. So it's a
Даже
two-way
если,
street.
даже если она делает для своей матери больше, какая разница ей? Какая ей разница? Это у нее такой relationship с мамой, она будет делать, и тут
And
ничего такого
she
нету.
feels
Пусть
comfortable. Her mother's
she
habit.
feels, that's it, and she feels comfortable there, пусть продолжает делать, здесь ничего такого нету, абсолютно, я не вижу здесь ничего плохого. Понимаешь? Это просто вот, не знаю, может быть, это old mentality понятие, я не знаю, или это вообще не понятие друг друга, или это ненависть к друг другу, или это ревность к сыну. Я не знаю, с чем это связано, но, честно говоря, дай Бог, чтобы меня Бог упас от этих мыслей, не дай Бог. Ни в коем случае я этого сама не хочу, потому что это очень важно, иметь хорошие отношения. И самой приятно, понимаешь, и у них дома шалом, и у тебя спокойно в голове. Поэтому я думаю, что все-таки две стороны должны быть умнее.
Exactly. Now the second part to this question. You ready?
Да.
When it comes to Domot, son-in-law,
Мгм.
by the way, whoever asked this question, I love you. Don't feel bad. You did not ask any bad questions. We're simply answering. So please don't feel bad for your questions. So we're not trying to be hard here. When it comes to Domot, son-in-law, I see in-laws are very sensitive to how they speak and act because the Domot can be upset. Why does this not apply to the daughter-in-law? We also have feelings. We can also be sensitive. Answer?
Ну, слушай, мы все sensitive, и Домот, и Келин, мы все sensitive. Значит, она должна исправить свой relationship со своей mother-in-law, чтобы mother-in-law would feel sensitive before she says something, she would think 1,000 times what to say. Понимаешь, это very simple, поэтому я считаю, что у нас у всех есть feelings, мы все можем и обижаться, и поплакать там в спальне где-нибудь, и у мужа на плече, но поможет нам это? Нет. Поэтому кому надо исправляться? Нам.
Ты знаешь, you want to laugh, Bella?
Давай.
This is funny, but I had the same question once upon a time also. I asked my husband the same question. I said, I don't get it. Why does the Domot shmo shmo? They have so much respect, and we can give tutu. How come? I'm not
Да.
looking for the shmo shmo, but I'm
Ну,
genuinely curious. How did this happen? That the Domot is getting shmo shmo and the Kelin is getting tu. In Bukhari, they say tu like ti, and shmo like we. So I was genuinely. That's why when I read this question for a second, I said, "Wow, I'm not the only one that questioned this," And
feel
it's not
that
like
way.
I'm looking for respect. I'm not. But I even asked my in-laws one time. I said, мне очень интересно, почему домот шмо-шмо? И знаете, вот такой прям даже страх, домот, а Келину нет. And my mother-in-law said, не, Келин, наша дочка, мы очень comfortable. Потому что мы comfortable, мы так разговариваем. I thought it was the cutest answer.
Я тебе скажу почему. Потому что мамы не хотят, чтобы Домот потом пилил ихнюю дочку. Вот поэтому они шумо-шумо и говорят на них.
Ага.
Они вот это уважение завоевывают,
А
чтобы
дочка не
их
может
дочка...
пилить мужа.
Потому что...
А дочка не может пилить мужа. Келли не может пилить мужа. Я
It's a
не понимаю.
win-win situation, скажи.
Я это не понимаю. У меня для этого ответа нету. А мой муж мне сказал, I asked him this question. I said, can you help me figure this out? I won't be able to answer this. He said, no, this is an old-fashioned mentality.
Да.
Back in Russia, the men, they were more powerful and more strict with their wives. So over there, they had to do it. Потому что men back in the days, they used to hit their wives. Now we don't have this problem anymore. So the parents always wanted to make sure that their daughters are respected. So they talk to them differently. Now it's different. It's not like this anymore. So that was my husband kind of, he set things into perspective for me. But I have to say, I genuinely understand this question. I
Я
felt
тоже
this way.
понимаю этот вопрос, он очень немножко такой, знаешь, щепетильный вопрос. И я знаю, семьи, они все относятся к этому по-разному. Например, моя мама со своей невестой разговаривает на «вы».
Моя мама тоже так, да.
Вот. Она разговаривает на «вы». В разных семьях все по-другому. Это не только уважение к невесте. Если я разговариваю со своей невестой на «ты», это не значит, что я ее не уважаю. Я чувствую ее как свою родную, поэтому я с ней разговариваю на «ты». Если бы я с ней разговаривала на «вы», я уже не чувствовала, у меня бы не было таких чувств к ней, ты понимаешь? Это мое
Я понимаю.
мнение, это мое мнение.
I hear you. I'm still trying to get
Я тебе говорю, это как свекровь. Я не люблю это слово свекровь, ты знаешь. Я честно не люблю это слово свекровь, потому что свекровь это вот, какое-то вот некрасивое, вот знаешь, придумали имя. Я тебе говорю это вот честно, вот что я просто вот не понимаю, как можно свою невесту говорить на «вы». Я просто бы, может быть, не имела таких близких чувств к ней, если бы я с ней разговаривала на «вы». Тогда бы она была бы какая-то вот, может быть, чужой для меня, ты понимаешь?
Я еще не свекровь, но я понимаю. Я думаю, я бы то же самое почувствовала. Я бы
Да,
не смогла бы
да,
вы. Вот я с тобой говорю на «ты».
да,
Ты старше меня. You deal
да,
with me because I feel so close to you. We're friends, so we're comfortable enough to say it like that. So
да,
yeah, when you say we, it kind of creates a little bit of a distance. Yeah, you're right.
да. Да, да, это creates a little bit of distance, и уже ты себя как-то вот, я не знаю, может быть, old generation, уже люди, которые постарше меня намного, да, они разговаривают со своими невестками на «вы». Я знаю, как вот пример, это моя мама, и я всегда говорю, как можно на «вы» разговаривать со своей невесткой? Она мне говорит, ты должна тоже со своей невестой на «вы» разговаривать. Что тут непонятного? Я говорю, я не могу, я уже не буду себя чувствовать так свободно, ты понимаешь? Не потому, что я ее не уважаю.
No, 100%, я с тобой согласна, но я на этот ответ не могу ответить. So, если кто-то older, I think you answered it very well, but if somebody in the older generation can
Да,
answer this particular
да.
question, I really still want a genuine answer. Почему, когда есть келинки, мы называем их иногда на «ты», а домот «вы»? В чем разница?
Вот тут пишут, Келин тоже надо на «вы», если... Упс, куда это делось? Если по-бухарски, но если по-русски, то на «ты». Шумо-шумо по-бухарски, ты по-русски,
На
да, получается?
домот тоже так
Она
получается, что ли, если...
говорит про Келин.
Только келин. Ага.
Ну, смотрите, если я своей Келину скажу, например, я говорю это, как бы сама про себя. Если я своей Келину скажу, Ревет, Гретвая, это получится уже унижаю я ее. Для меня это уже не получается, что я... Это получается, что я ее оскорбляю, как бы, понимаете? Ревет, Грет. А по-русски иди, пожалуйста, принеси. Это же по-другому звучит. Это же звучит сладче как-то, понимаешь? А если я говорю по-бухарски, это уже оскорбление для меня к ней, понимаешь?
Рогир, получается, по-бухарски.
Да, рогир, но она говорит по-бухарски, если говорит, то надо на
Ну,
«вы». А если
а
по-русски,
если
я
мы
так
то же
понимаю.
самое переводим на русском, это получается на «вы» на русском. Like Russian has this. English doesn't have «вы», «ты».
Да, на «ты», да. Вот она говорит, Келин тоже надо на «вы», если по-бухарски. Но если по-русски, то на «ты».
По-бухарски обычаи, может быть, значит, келин тоже надо называть на «вы». Значит, there shouldn't be a discrimination between domot and kelin. So if you're really following the
Да,
Bukharian tradition, I think that's what she's saying, then you shouldn't have to say «вы», «ты» to your kelin and «вы» to your domot. It should be equal. I
equal,
think that's what
да.
she's saying.
Там можно тоже понять это, но, честно говоря, для меня это uncomfort. Я не могу выйти с этого comfort zone, потому что я себя не чувствую comfortable говорить на «вы», тогда у меня не будет этого connection с ней, понимаешь? У меня не будет этого comfortable connection с ней.
But also, we're living in America, which not saying that we just because we're America, we have to forget tradition. I'm not saying that, but we are living in America. So our younger generation doesn't even know что такое «вы». They don't know this. This word
Понимают это,
doesn't
да.
exist.
Я
They
тоже
only
этого
know
не
«ты».
понимаю. Я тоже этого не понимаю. Вот у меня дети росли, когда были маленькие, я их учила говорить с папой на «вы». И они все говорят с папой папой на «вы». Со мной мне было безразлично, они говорят со мной на «вы» или на «ты», мне это было все равно. Но папа у нас в семье всегда был «вы», понимаешь? И есть «вы» он.
И знаешь, что смешно? Когда я выходила замуж за моего мужа, мой муж говорит на свою маму «вы» и на свою папу тоже «вы».
Да,
А я говорила на маму «ты» и на папу «вы». Потому что
вот,
так нас мама вырастила, как у тебя.
вот,
И мой
вот.
муж, to him, it was so uncomfortable. He used to tell me, oh my God, you say "ты" to your mother? I'm like, yeah, why not? Oh my God, no, you have to stop. You have to say "we." It bothered him. He couldn't even hear it. Like he was so uncomfortable with it. And I'm like, no, but my mom doesn't mind. That's how we were raised. So I
Да.
think it all depends on your family traditions.
И если бы я с мамой говорила бы на «вы», я бы уже не чувствовала даже вот этот вот close relationship with her. Я папу уважаю и люблю, но у меня с мамой по-другому relationship. У меня с мамой как подруги relationship. Я уже не могу с ней на «вы» говорить, ты понимаешь? Потому что мы с ней подруги. Это уже не получится «вы» никак. Я с детства это не чувствовала вот это «вы»,
No,
понимаешь?
I understand completely. I get it. In a way, it's so nice that our language has "вити". I like that. It's an
Да,
unfortunate thing
да.
that English is not like that.
Beautiful, ну, ты понимаешь, не во всех ситуациях это можно использовать для меня, по крайней мере.
Yeah. Did you anybody else comment on this question? I saw a
Да,
comment there.
да, сейчас я прочитаю. Это у нас пришло от узбеков, потому что жили среди них, сейчас, жили среди них, и много законов мы приняли от них. Может быть, и правда, может быть, узбеки от нас это взяли. Не знаю, или таджики. Вот еще один вопрос. Свекровь и невеста должны быть как подружки, и тогда не будет проблем. Да, не будет проблем, но кто-то себя чувствует, когда они говорят с невестой на «вы» подружками, а кто-то себя чувствует комфортно, говорит на «ты», и тоже себя чувствует еще больше подружками. Это от человека зависит, от отношения между свекровью и невестой зависит. Тут очень много нюансов. Вот еще побежали вопросы. Мне так это все интересно.
Комментарий, да, да, да.
Все правильно, новое поколение, все по-другому. Уважение не заключается вы или ты. Вот о чем я и веду речь. Да.
Да. You can have somebody completely
Вы
disrespect you and
можете
still say "вы".
разговаривать на «вы» со своей невестой, но там ноль уважения будет, ты понимаешь? Вот в том-то и проблема сейчас. Russian partners were never called «вы».
No, and parents were called "we". I call my father "we". My father
Да,
is "we". My grandparents are "we".
да. Ну, очень многое зависит от уважения, relationship. Как я сказала, вы можете говорить 100 раз «вы» на свою невесту, а там 0 уважения между невестой и Келином. И черт знает что, не дай бог, хазба халила, хазба шалом там происходит, никому не дай бог.
True. But I
Да,
think we covered this question well. Let's move on to the next one. You ready?
давай.
Okay, we're going to stop over after this, even though there are more questions, but we're going to
Ага.
stop after this one because it's kind of connecting this question that we just addressed, like the whole family dynamics. This one is continuation of that. So we're going to continue.
Хорошо,
How
хорошо.
often, okay, do you invite your husband's side of the family?
О, бой.
Occasion, birthday, holiday, everyone at once, she's asking, like the siblings, the parents, or you invite them only one at a time. Let's say just parents. Let's say they have a big family, and it's a struggle for me to have a huge family over at once. It's overwhelming. So whoever is asking this question, it's funny. I had the same, very similar question. So I see it's constantly coming back up. On my last live, also similar question, same type of a question. Basically, let me reiterate. She says, how often are you inviting? That's number one, your husband's side. And are you inviting his brothers, his sister, his grandparents, for example, all together? Or are you like saying, no, we're just going to invite the parents because when you invite everybody, it's too overwhelming. Bella, you're first.
О, бой. Я не знаю, depends how big is their family. Yeah? Если она 100 человек в семью зовет, it is overwhelming. Если там семья, 20-30 человек, и смотря какие отношения у нее со стороны мужа, опять-таки, ты понимаешь, в том-то и вся проблема. Если отношения со стороны мужа и со стороны невесты сплоченный, там никаких проблем нету, никаких overwhelm тоже нету. We should be happy to invite people. Это большущая мицва звать людей домой. И we shouldn't be thinking it's overwhelming. Мы же не зовем 100 человек на шаббат, правильно? Больше 15 человек все равно у нас нету за шаббатным столом. Например, I know in my family есть многие семьи, которые они на машину не садятся на шаббат, поэтому они не приходят. Ну сколько может быть прийти к тебе людей, for you to get overwhelming? У тебя должно быть 10 детей, у тебя должно быть 5 свекровок, у тебя должно быть 20 домотов и там 50 grandkids. Yes, you will get overwhelmed. Но я не думаю, что... Я надеюсь, это не эта ситуация, потому что я люблю гостей вызывать домой. And it's not overwhelming for me. Я говорю это про себя. Но, like I said, это большая мицва. Мы должны, как женщины, ну, я не знаю, как это объяснить, полюбить это. Во-первых, мы должны это полюбить, звать людей к себе домой и чувствовать себя комфортно. Если вы зовете к себе домой гостей, вы или их зовете и принимаете их нормально, с улыбкой, или вообще их не зовите никого, вы понимаете? Не зовите, if it's overwhelming, ваш хавок там не нужен, чтобы они видели и потом расстраивались. Но это, конечно, никогда такого не было у нас в семье, и я, слава богу, у моих детей тоже нету такого, не дай бог, все нормально, да, но моя философия такая: или зовете, или не зовете, и нету такого separate this, separate that. Зовите, почему нет? Это huge мицва. Девочки, вы не представляете, какую вы мицву берете на себя, когда вы кормите людей. Это такое счастье, когда к вам люди приходят. Ну и что они вам растоптали полы? Ну и что они у вас на кухне не убрали? Ну и что они там вам окна заляпали, или там сервант ваш заляпали, или там хрустальная какая-то там рюмка у вас упала и поломалась? Ничего тут такого нету, девочки. Вы представляете, это такое счастье, когда к вам приходят домой гости. Вы не представляете, это сколько мицвы вы берете в себе. Это...
Love your answer, Bellachka. You are the cooking kosher with Bella for a reason. Your passion to cook is unreal. It's like no
Я
one
люблю
else.
гостей. Честно говоря, вот у меня невестка, вот мне все говорили, да, худю худо келинкуни, худю худо, она любит людей, она зовет людей, она день, два, три делает шопинги, вот эти колоссальные, дай бог ей здоровья, чтобы не сглазить. Она прям вот готовит вот эти list of stuff, what she's gonna make, и такая вообще, знаешь, молодец, она любит гостей, и для меня это так радостно видеть, что человек любит гостей. Ну что еще может в жизни радостнее быть, чем принимать гостей, и там 2 часа они посидели и ушли? Это же такое счастье для меня.
100%. Now I'm going to have a different twist on this, okay?
Давай.
Now I have 2 versions of this, okay? I'm going to be a little bit deeper because there were moments in my life where I can relate to this particular story. First, let's understand, we don't know if this lady who's writing this, is she working? Maybe she's working. Maybe she has a 5-month-old baby. Maybe she's 9 months pregnant, okay? I don't know her story. You don't know her story. You're obviously, whatever you said is 100% true, but I'm not sure what her story is that she's writing. It's overwhelming. Regardless, maybe none of this applies to her.
Может быть, я говорю, какая ситуация.
In our circles, Baruch Hashem, Bli Ayin Hara, the people that I'm around, every single one of them has 7+ children. We're not talking about 2, 3 kids. 7+. Bli Ayin Hara. Now imagine this lady says, I have to invite all the siblings, and we're talking about 8 children here, 7 children here, 7 children here. So it's very overwhelming. We're not talking about 2, 4, 6. We're talking about 30+ people if we're calculating all the children. Yes, whoever wrote this question, that can be extremely overwhelming. Extremely overwhelming. And I know people, Bella, myself, that are very capable of inviting 3 families with 8 children each, plus the in-laws, plus their parents, and they do it so beautifully. They're not tired. They're not overwhelmed. they are just so amazing at it that I sometimes I'm like, how do you do this? Beautiful.
Мгм.
Now, one time, and that's why I could relate to this story. I
Да.
got a comment from a family member, myself. I remember
Ага.
being that's why I'm saying, you see, everybody's so different. Your answer is beautiful because it applies to you and what you're made up of. Like you are that kind of person. That's you. That's Bella. That's why I love you. You're very open-hearted and very giving. But I remember having a comment made to me one time. I was in PA school.
Ага.
It was very difficult for me. And there was a particular family member who was amazing at inviting guests. Amazing. And I was like, wow, she's so amazing. How does she do it? But then she came to me when she saw I was hustling and bustling and I'm barely inviting my parents or my in-laws, barely pulling through with everything. And I was like, how do you do it? I'm like so inspired by you. But the response I got at that time was, well, what's the big deal? If you really want something, you could do it too. It's all in the mindset. And then I thought to myself, oh my God, I feel horrible because maybe it is my mindset. Maybe I have to really work on myself. Maybe I'm the problem here. And no
Мгм.
matter how much I tried to convince myself that I could do this, well, she said, maybe it's my mindset. Maybe I can also do it. It was physically impossible. It was
Impossible.
physically impossible. That means I would have to really squeeze myself, not study, not do anything because of the amount of work I had personally at that time. And that comment was so insensitive for
Мгм.
me, where I felt like I, as a person, have to stand up to people's
Да.
expectations. And that's why I could relate to this person, whoever's writing
Да.
this. There are people that are made to cater to a lot of people, and their nature, their personality, they're able to handle that. Whether
Правильно.
they grew up in a family who always hosted, so
Да.
they're just simply used to it, and noise and mess and everything doesn't bother them. They're simply used to
Мгм.
it. And then there are people that are so anxious and nervous because they're perfectionists and they everything has to be a certain way and they get overwhelmed. And then like you said, it's not fun anymore. So to whoever's writing this, there is no set of rules to how
Да.
you have to invite people.
Да.
What I don't agree with, and again, who am I to agree or not agree? I'm just
Right.
sharing my opinion.
Да, да,
There
да.
are also people that will never invite you. And I mean, never. They don't
Да.
invite you as a brother. They don't invite you as a sister. They don't invite you as a parent. They just don't invite you.
Ты
Now,
имеешь, ты имеешь в виду, ты зовешь их, а они к себе не зовут?
или
Вот это
так,
ты
или тоже тебя не зовут. Like, никого не зовут.
поняла,
Like,
поняла.
просто никого не зовут. And then I wonder to myself, well, aren't you bored? Like, don't your children sometimes need to experience family? Like,
Да.
don't you have birthdays and celebrations? So I am not here to tell you what to do, but I also wonder sometimes, like, how is it that people, like certain people, just don't invite anyone into their family?
Anyone. Да.
I'm not from that mentality. I think having guests, like you said, is so special, is so beautiful. And there's no need to invite guests every single Shabbat and every
Абсолютно.
single birthday and every single occasion
Конечно.
unless you love it. But children, I feel, that grow up in families that have people there, they are different. They're
Да.
very, very, very welcoming, open. The whole demeanor, they're used to getting up and helping and setting up and cleaning. Those children from those families just come out to be a little bit different. Even the boys of children that come
Да.
out from families that their mothers are inviting guests, they know how to set a table and they know how to clean a table and they know how to help their mother put out the salads. So you're kind of also educating your children. You're giving them a certain type of an upbringing.
И
When
они
you
этим
when you
видят.
have guests in your house, your children are going to have a certain different upbringing.
Да.
But to this girl who's writing, and I don't know who she is,
Да.
and she's saying, do you have to invite everybody? If, first of all, let's say you don't come from a big family. No, they don't have 7, 8 kids each. Have one
Мгм.
child, 2 children, you have 4 or 5 siblings,
Да.
or 2 siblings. I feel strongly about something else. And again, my opinion.
Да.
There are siblings or family members that are not always going to, okay, how do I say this in a nice way? We all
Say
want
it
to
in the
get
way you
along.
wanted to say.
Yeah.
Just say it.
We all want to get along with everyone.
Да.
That's just the way nature is. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to care for one another.
Мгм.
Unfortunately, if we take realistically life, okay, realistic, without trying to sugarcoat anything,
Right.
some people don't get along with other people. Their presence intimidates other people,
Мгм.
which means you want to invite someone from a very good heart. You genuinely want them in your house. You
Да.
want them to come to you for Shabbat. But when they come to you, their energy is very negative and very toxic and very unhealthy for you. And you're simply doing it because you want to be the good person. You want to be the one that you're doing the right thing. Do it. Once in a while, twice in a while, you have an event, there's a 70th-year-old birthday party, you don't want to разлучать семью, it's very important. But I don't
Да.
think anybody can go according to guidelines. There's no
There's
rules.
no rules.
There is no
Absolutely.
rules. Just because your friend is able to invite all the brothers over, all the sisters over, and everything is beautiful, that's amazing. But there is no set of rules that says you have to do that, and if you're not, and if the husband is saying, well, look, how come his wife, you can't pressure because you don't know the relationship, or maybe you do when you're trying to close your eyes on it because you don't want it to be that way, and we all don't want it to be that way. If the relationships are not getting along, and at the end everybody goes home and you're miserable, and then you get into a fight with your husband because somebody really, messed you up or said something to you or criticized you or didn't do something nice to you, the whole thing is down the drain. And who likes this? Not the children. Nobody. Because what happens? There's no love over there. So if you're doing something like Bella said, and you're doing it with a full heart, and you're genuinely doing it because you want to invite, and you're very happy, and you love guests, do it. But if you're simply doing it because you want to be the good daughter-in-law, you want to be the good daughter, you want to do what is the right thing to do, but deep down, it's not what makes you
Лучше
happy and
не
you're miserable,
делать.
don't
Лучше
do
не
it.
делать.
It's
Don't
not
do
good.
it. No. Totally agree with you. I couldn't have said that better than you did. Beautiful.
No, and I'm not saying I'm right. I agree with you. I just feel like there's just a lot of, you know what it is, Bella? When people call you with their situations and their problems, and then you hear all kinds of stories,
Да.
you really realize, people sometimes they are like, for example, you have a girl who got, let's say, divorced, and she's inviting everybody to her house. They have kids. She has kids. And then she
Мгм.
knows there's one person, for example, in the family that was so not supportive and so mean and so toxic to her when she was going through that process. Now, how can she happily invite everybody at the same time, because knowing that this particular person in her heart makes her so miserable? Unless they heal the relationships and the traumas and all that stuff, you can't uh, you can't enforce somebody. Sometimes it's unfortunate, but sometimes people feel like, hi, давайте уже все, глаза закрывайте, не надо. It's a beautiful concept to close your eyes. It's a beautiful concept,
It
but
takes
we
time
have
to
to
heal.
also heal.
Yeah, it
People
takes
have
time to.
to heal. And yes, mother-in-laws or father-in-laws or parents, they want all their children to be splachonne and not to fight and to love each other. That's ideal. I wish on myself that all my children should always love each other like they're loving each other now. And who knows what happens? God forbid. I don't wish that upon myself, but nobody
Да.
knows down the line if there are some disagreements or something, and then families have to start to separate. It breaks a parent. It does. But we have to first work on building those relationships, because
Да.
if they're not built, it's not a happy connection.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. И это очень важно для семьи, конечно. Если они это видят с детства, то они это будут делать. А если там очень много нюансов, очень много моментов. Так что мы можем это уже закрывать. Очень много нюансов.
Now, do
Очень,
we have time? You told
да,
me,
we have
okay,
time.
but we have time. I
Да.
don't know how long we've been on the live, but one more thing before we go, only because this particular anonymous question we've been getting so many times. And Bella, I think the anonymous question also was addressed to you to please raise this awareness.
Да, я
So,
тебе отправила
да,
это потом.
I got this question before. I did not raise it. I did not raise it because, first of all, I didn't raise it because this particular question I did not feel comfortable talking on my own, which is why I did not raise it. There are certain topics that when I raise on Facebook, I feel very comfortable talking on my own because I have a lot to share from my own, thoughts, reading books or experiences or people. But this particular question I did not feel comfortable addressing yet. But because Bella, while you're on live, and I know that this particular individual really, really, really asked us to address it.
Да.
You can go ahead with the question, Bella, because they did ask you as well.
Basically, она спросила, если мы можем поднять тему про людей, которых очень много в Нью-Йорке, которые занимаются колдовством, гадалками и которые делают вот эти вещи, которые нельзя делать в иудаизме, то, что нам запрещено делать в иудаизме. Это написано черным по белому в Торе, что не обращайтесь к духам, к волшебникам, не гадайте. Это черным по белому написано в Торе, что не оскверняйтесь через них, потому что я один Бог, и больше нету никого. Они не делают это для кого-то плохо, они это делают для себя плохо, и они должны это понимать, что нельзя это делать. И я считаю, что если вам хочется идти к гадалке, или там к колдунам, или там, я не знаю кому, открывайте свой телим, открывайте Тору, учите Тору, заходите на разные зумы, задавайте вопросы рабаям, молитесь Богу. У нас нету такого, чтобы колдуны мы делали, гадалки мы делали, карты мы. Нельзя. Это черным по белому написано в Торе. А нам что запрещается? Не прибавляй в Тору и не убавляй из Торы. It's simple.
It's very simple, and you said it beautifully. So basically, this lady wanted us to touch upon black magic. That's in English. I'm just translating a little bit. And she says that there's a problem that a lot of people in our community are going to these fortune tellers or these people that do witchcraft. And she says that it's very scary because it's happening very, very often. And she says this has to be addressed. I personally, thank God, don't know of many of these situations. Okay, I don't want to know of them. I don't know of them. I stay away from these situations. That is not to say that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It exists. And it's very scary. It's very scary that people can use black magic either to hurt somebody's family or to put evil eye on somebody's family or to curse somebody's family because they forget something. God exists, and let's say you're not a very religious person. You still God exists no matter you're religious, you're not religious. Most people, unless you're an atheist, God exists. And if we have to be afraid of anybody, it's God. But then there is such a thing as karma, right? Karma. What goes around comes around. So if we really think we're going to try to hurt someone and nothing is going to turn back around, we're going to be very wrong because the world is made in a way where karma exists. And if you're really out there to try to hurt somebody's life with whatever you create in your mind, я пойду сейчас к этой гадалке, она тебе скажет, принеси его носки, принеси его свечку, принеси голову рыбы, or whatever they tell you to bring. It's unbelievable. The things that they, like, one time, I remember, just one time, somebody called this witchcraft person and she said, принеси мне фотографию, потом принеси мне голову рыбы, принеси мне его носки, иди купи это, иди купи то. And just me hearing all the things that she said that has to be purchased, right? I'm listening to this and I'm like, that just sounds so spooky and so scary and so ridiculous that I wouldn't even be able to go further, to go past it. Because, like, what are you planning to do? Where is this going? And, people swear by the fact that they know. I am sorry. And I'm even like, not that I should say afraid, like we have to protect ourselves because whoever these people think they are, whatever energy they think they have, we're protected by Hashem, right? So nothing can touch us because we're really protected by Hashem. But the fact that they think they could take people's pictures and look at them and start like doing all these horrible things to them, it's scary. It's very, very scary. And I do agree. It needs to stop. But you know what I really feel? People become so desperate for an answer, for revenge, for anything to give them comfort that they're willing to like close everything that's irrational and find justification. And we know what the best phrase is, Bella? You know what the best phrase is? Даже рабаи к ним идут. Даже рабаи же к ним идут. And I'm like, which rabbis? Like, who are the rabbis? I
Они
really
уже
don't understand.
заблуждаются, эти люди уже заблуждаются, и вместо гадания, почему бы не попытаться, например, помолиться, обратиться к рабаю или обратиться к рабанит, или в конце концов учите Тору. Это от вашей неграмотности вы идете к этим бабаёшкам и гадаете, и делаете сами себе плохо. И вы делаете кому-то плохо, вы не делаете это никому плохо. Может быть, вы и проживете 120 лет, но вы не забывайте, те, кто гадают и делают вот эти вот всякие гадалки, модалки, подалки, кто его знает что, вы, если будете жить, может быть, счастливо и богато и хорошо до 120 лет, но вы не забывайте, что ваше поколение будет страдать потом. Не забывайте об этом.
So
Потому что
I'm trying to understand. There are people in New York that do this.
that's what she said. I don't know anyone, but that's what she said. И она сказала затронуть эту тему. Но это настолько страшная тема для меня, честно
Yeah,
говоря.
I'm feeling a little
Мы
bit like
Я
uncomfortable because again, I'm not
тоже.
afraid of it, but it makes me very
Очень
uncomfortable.
Я слышала очень многих, но я personally не знаю никого. Поэтому я считаю, что люди должны одуматься, наконец, одуматься, что у нас кроме Бога нету никого, ни змеи, ни гадалки, ни фигурки, ни там Будда, ни Шмуда, ни там обезьянки, ни какие-то фигурки. Нету у нас. У нас только один Бог, к кому мы можем обращаться. Мы не обращаемся к гадалкам, мы обращаемся к Богу, мы разговариваем с Богом, мы должны разговаривать со Всевышним, но не с гадалкой ни в коем случае. Не вызывайте этих... Это в Торе написано. Нам это сказал сам Всевышний, это в Торе написано. Нельзя, это будет отражаться на ваших детях, не дай Бог, и на ваших внуков, правнуков. Вы хотите этого? Конечно, вы не хотите этого. Прекращай. Я думаю, что бухарский народ наш очень красивый народ, и мы не должны его портить вот такими вещами. Нельзя это делать.
Somebody wrote, yes, a Bukharian lady in New York City does a very bad job. Not that it matters, but I'm not understanding how do we classify what's a bad job? Based
Но то, что она это делает, и то, что это нехорошо она делает. То, что она, может быть, гадает, она имеет в виду, но то, что это нельзя гадать, и это нехорошо. Может быть, она вот это имеет в виду.
But it's scary. I mean, again, we can't be scared because God protects us, but it's a scary concept. It's a scary
We can only
concept.
pray for these people, потому что I really hope они очухаются и подумают насчет своего наследства, то, что они оставляют после себя. Потому что то, что они оставили после себя наследство, это все, это будет на них потом отражаться. Может быть, на вас это не отразится, но это когда-нибудь это будет отражаться на наследство. Нельзя это делать, это ни в коем случае.
Yes, I agree. Any comments before we go, Bella? That was really a very, very, I loved it. Today's episode was very interesting. I think a lot of people can benefit from the questions and answers that we got today. I feel a lot of it has to do with real life examples, situations. Кто-то там написал earlier, что это за вопросы. Some people don't understand what kind of questions they are. And
Что за вопросы кто-то написал?
we don't create these questions. These are questions that were sent to me, and I genuinely appreciate everyone for whatever question they pose. Because you see, it's good that people can pose these questions because it allows us to address it. And sometimes people really don't know who to turn to because maybe they're uncomfortable. They don't want to be judged, right? A lot of problem exists when people feel so judged by, you know, even the questions people are going to judge them for.
Да.
And people don't feel comfortable asking. So this gives them the ability to ask, and maybe our answer can give them a little bit of clarification and a different mindset, which is what we
Да.
hope.
И почему эти questions приходят анонимно, мы даже не знаем, Йохевед даже не знает, откуда они приходят. Она, когда мне сделала эти скриншотс и показала мне некоторые сегодня, которые ты даже мне не задала, я даже не знала, я не вижу, кто это,
No, you
понимаете?
can't see.
И
You
very
can't see. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, we don't know who they are. Мы не знаем, кто они. I'm glad social media делает такие чудеса, что мы не знаем, кто это. Поэтому мы должны к этому относиться very openly. И я думаю, что те questions, которые действительно должны задаваться, мы можем их обсуждать свободно. И это очень даже хорошо, что мы обсуждаем это свободно. Ничего тут такого нету, я считаю.
That's right. So thank you all again for watching. As always, we really appreciate reading all your comments, all your feedbacks. And if there's any more questions that you want us to address, I will put this question box back up on my stories, you know, in a week or sometime. Just look out for when I put that question box on my stories. If you don't follow me and Bella on Instagram, we both strongly recommend that you do go to our Instagram page because Instagram has some different type of contents. The stories are easier to view on Instagram. And there, when the question box pops up again with the anonymous question post, you're going to be able to write your question. And then we're going to have another episode, God willing,
God
and we
willing.
will address your question there. Can you read the last comment? The Sonia Yunatanova.
Соня пишет: девочки, вы молодцы, с вами приятно общаться и послушать. Здоровья, счастья и успехов вам. Спасибо, Соня, огромное вам спасибо. Кто-то мне там privately на Фейсбуке пишет насчет вот нашего шоу, видимо, но я не могу сейчас отключаться, пока мы не отключимся полностью. Она какой-то вопрос мне задает. Я видела, сейчас вышла здесь.
Lola, thank you so much. Thank you, Lola. I appreciate your beautiful comment there. She says both of you ladies are the best. Thank you very much, Lola.
Кто-то вот тут
Rachel,
еще,
thank
да,
you so
кто-то еще
much,
написал
Rachel.
затронуть тему как-нибудь. Может быть, это будет в следующий раз. Как бы обязана ли свекровка смотреть за внуками? Не знаю. Это будет, может быть, следующий наш.
We're going to have a very controversial with that one, right? We're going to have to be prepared. Not everybody's going to like your answers. That's the problem.
Да, это может быть будет наша следующая тема, потому что свекровь и невестка это может быть тема очень длинная, растяжимая, и поэтому свекровки, вам мой совет: любите своих невесток, невестки, вам мой совет: спуститесь на пару лестниц вниз, чтобы у вас были хорошие отношения. Свекрови, знайте свое место, не суйте свой нос везде, поэтому тут очень много нюансов, понимаете, и чтобы был хороший relationship, это просто нужно знать свое место всем. Very simple.
Знаешь, кстати, меня попросили, just before we get off, I once made a video from a book, Woman to Woman. There actually is 2 chapters there: mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, how a mother-in-law should act to a daughter-in-law, and how a daughter-in-law should act to a mother-in-law. There's 2
книга
different chapters.
называется?
Woman to Woman.
Woman to
Когда
woman.
я только выходила на Facebook many years ago when I just started, one of my first videos, I read from this book and I translated it in Russian and I posted it. And it was a very popular video at that time. So I was actually asked on my anonymous questions that came in to please reiterate that video again with how a mother-in-law should treat a daughter-in-law and a daughter-in-law should treat a mother-in-law. So I am planning, God willing, when I get a chance, I want to go back to that book and I want to read that book once again, translated. This is not me talking. I don't have experience as far as having a daughter-in-law. I can't tell you. I'm a mother-in-law, but I don't have a daughter-in-law. So I'm going to read it from a Rebbitzin that wrote this book that has many more years and what she has to say. And I hope it's going to be helpful.
I hope so too. I think we should all have a beautiful relationship with each other. Это очень важно, поэтому
I want to
это
I want to go, but Лола написала, почему обязаны мы
должны
должны
делать почему, типа, мы обязаны? Мы должны это делать с любовью. И Келинам, и дочерям.
помогать, она имеет в виду.
Да, с внуками, за внуками смотреть.
Very nice.
Это тот
I agree.
вопрос. Да,
I
это тот вопрос.
agree. That's her mindset. I agree with it, though.
Да.
Okay, it's getting late. New
Да.
York time is almost 11 o'clock.
Да.
We've been on. This is amazing. And as much as I love talking to Bella, we're going to have to wrap it up tonight. Thank you all for watching. If you find this video to be helpful, please share it with others. And once again, your comment and feedback is always welcome. If you don't feel comfortable commenting on the show, either comment me or Bella privately, and we're always welcome to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much. Have a good night, Bella. Thank you once
Bye.
again. Bye.